Welcome back to Spoiler Warning. Today we're covering Absolute Superman issue number 3. Before we get into issue number 3, at the end of issue 2, when Superman's going to finish waiting, on the billboard that says, uh, it basically says, like, Lazarus is evil, join the Omega Men. So there is a resistant group against the Omega Men. Issue 3, what's interesting about it is the all Krypton. Basically 98% Krypton, aside from like a little thing that happens at the end issue. So let's get into it. Spoilers ahead. We have Kal-El just doing bad in school, like sports and stuff. Talks about how the Law Guild, the Law Guild, and it is Guild. So Law Guild, and he doesn't do so great in the training for that, and then he's part of the Labor Guild. So my understanding, I think it's the Science Guild, and then they have a Science League, but I'm just going to say guilds for consistency's sake, so that way I'm not saying Guild, Legion, League, unless those terms are actually being used. So anyways, we have him not doing great at school. Him and his parents go to get some sunstones, and they're mining. They see a crack where there is poisonous gas coming out. There's also a moment because the school's like, we're going to send a report to your parents. So he feels like like a lot of kids in this is just anxious about how his parents are going to react. And so they're like, oh, you wrote the report yourself. And this is what's happening. And they're like, just keep being you. Like, you're going to be amazing. Just find your own way and that we support you, which I think is just so nice. But it's also like, there was no way. But I mean, there's no way that Jorel and Laura, who are very compassionate and caring about other people, and raised their son to be like this, to have these values, would be like, oh no, you're thinking for yourself instead of using an algorithm or accepting what the Science League is saying. Like, nah, you're good. Then, as we progress, we see more hints of the decay of Krypton. Kal-El sees a dying rabbit he's with Crypto, so he goes out to the rest of the Redlands, and he sees more of the planets dying in the decay. It's like fish are dying. There's poisonous gas pockets. Like crops are dying, and of course, those of us so close to the dirt, because they're children of the dirt, would feel its effects first of the planet dying. Because of everything he's seeing, and even during a school trip where they're on the train, he sees some other area where there's been damage caused. Not sure what to do. He takes all this information, he submits a report to school, which their response on the school is it's deleted they delete the report entirely. They're like, we're going to talk to your parents. What's even more interesting is the notes on his own personal tab, they're deleted as well. So they go to this where the clerics for the Science League are. They're like high wisdom chamber. They go there, and Kyle's talking about how there's supposed to be a meeting with his parents, but they never go to the meeting. While they're there, he's hearing some sort of commotion, and there he sees these officers taking in Jorel. He tries to stop them, but they push him away, like, go away, kid. So he goes home, rushes to get his mom, and his mom goes to put on Soul. She ends up having the same suit that Superman does when he's older, and a big freaking gun. So her, Crypto, and Kal-El go to rescue Jorel. Crypto has the Sunstone Dust, or the Dust cape, and she tells him to go find Jorel. Meanwhile, Laura's shooting magma at people, which is an insane thing to shoot at people. I feel like that's some supervillain shit. Like, nobody just shoots somebody in the face with magma. That's just crazy. But she's like, I gotta do what I gotta do. Between her and Crypto, they rescue Jorel. There's also this moment with the Soul completely covers her, and it's like badass. And I feel like that, like, form, like, it looks like that could be something else later. Like, in case they do, for example, the Eradicator, I could see Soul being part of that form, like copying, and like if it eventually gets like attached with Superman and operates on its own, I could see it taking his form and Soul being like the absolute Eradicator. But that's, who knows when that's gonna make an appearance. Anyways, while all this is happening, Kal stumbles upon some computers, And he stumbles upon information that's pretty interesting is that the Science League knows that Krypton's dying. They've known and they have ships built. They just don't want everybody to know because they don't have enough ships for people and they don't want to panic. They just want the elite they just want to save the elite, which is so messed up. Without really thinking and Kal-El being himself, he releases this information. Jorel, Lara, Crypto, and Kal-El get back to their home. They're looking at the ship and they're talking to the ship, and Lara's talking about how there's so many cousins that they still need to save. What's interesting is I feel like there's this familiar sense with at least the Kryptonians in the Red Lines or the Labor Guild. And so when she says cousins, it makes me realize that I think in the Absolute Universe, Kara will probably not be blood related to Kal-El, but be a cousin in the sense that they're both Kryptonians or both from the Labor Guild, because that would also explain why she has the S symbol of the People of Steel. So Jorel and Laura are trying to figure out how to tell Kal-El that not only is their planet dying, we have to reach for the stars and find a new place, gather as much stuff as we can and leave. Kal is like, I already know. And then Jorel sees the report of the note that all of Krypton knows. And then they realize that Kal is the one that revealed that. It's pretty interesting because you see there are definitely shades of who he is regardless of who raised him, because Lara and Jorel are very kind and caring people who care about their neighbors and everything. So Kal has that, and he's also very inquisitive and wants to find the truth. So that's very interesting that he still has those qualities. But a lot of this too is he much more so than other versions of himself in different DC comics has felt the loss of Krypton because he lived on Krypton. He experienced that and knew his parents. Also, all Krypton stuff, it says this was 6 years ago, which also means that his time with the Titans was shorter than it was in other versions of the DC Comics or Superman's backstory. What's also interesting is at the end of the issue, we see Martha, who's in the hospital, who's having these moments where she's saying, "My angel, my sweet angel boy, come back to me." And the doctors and the nurses are saying, there's no record of her having a son, but you do see a picture of her, John, and Kal together. So, yeah, so that's interesting, especially with all this stuff going on with Lazarus. You know, they have the Kent farm and everything. So it'd be interesting to see. I could see the next issue or a very soon issue focusing on the Kents and how Kal interacted with them, especially since we're moving closer towards the destruction of Krypton. So there's that flashback story has progressed a bit more. It is interesting because we did conclude the Peacemaker encounter. So to have this flashback does at least move that forward, while present day Kal hasn't really moved that much forward since the first issue, and we're 3 issues in now. So we'll see how that works in terms of story pacing for at least present day, for like the subsequent issues for issue 4 and whatnot. Thank you for watching. Hope you check out any of the other videos in the spoiler warning section or any of my other videos and whatnot. Hope you enjoyed. Appreciate you guys. Bye.